Boom.
Patrick Mahomes in primetime for Monday Night Football. We love it. The Red Hot Chiefs AFC West battle against the Broncos, and we're here to break down the $1 million slate. It's Nick. It's Big Play Coach Jay. What's up, boss?
Hey, the Chiefs are my team, so this is
home cooking.
This is my this is where I belong. Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't want to pick Pat Mahomes for this first question. Let's rush into it. But we got eight questions, $1 million. You got to pick them all correct. We're going to walk you through it like we do after we crushed Sunday. So talk to me about question one. It is most passing yards, Patrick Mahomes and Case Keenum, and you're on the fence.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick Mahomes is clearly the better talent here. But if you look at matchup and game script, I'm not sure he's in the best position here. Now, the Chiefs haven't necessarily cared about game script up to this point, so we'll see if it matters at all. But Keenum is facing a miserable Chiefs secondary that has just been diced apart week after week. Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, and then Jimmy G when he was healthy last week. They're not very good on the back end. So I think Keenum really could spread the ball around and cut up this Chiefs secondary while Kansas City might have a lead and try to establish a ground game that's been pretty absent the first 3 weeks. So I am going to step out on a limb on question one and take Case Keenum here.
Picking against the home cooking. That's a no-go.
Yep.
That's a no-go. I'm going to take Mahomes here. I said it last week, and for some reason, it didn't really come to fruition. I still think the best way to beat this Chiefs offense is to keep them off the field. So I think that Phillip Lindsay is going to have a nice little night for the Broncos. I think home crowd, grind the ball down, keep Patrick Mahomes on the sidelines, and that's going to force the Chiefs to chase the game. So I like Mahomes passing yards because when it comes to Mahomes and the RPO, he just always wants to pull the ball away and pass. So that becomes a numbers game for me. Question two, most rushing yards. This one's pretty interesting, just the way touches have broken out between these teams. The A-bet is Phillip Lindsay, then Kareem Hunt, then Royce Freeman, and rounding it out is Spencer Ware. So what do you like here? You are off Kareem Hunt, right?
Yeah, I don't think Kareem Hunt's a good running back. I know that's kind of a hot take. I said it last year at the beginning of the year, and then I got a whole bunch of crap for it when he went off against the Patriots. But then everybody was pretty silent when he disappeared in the middle of the season. But he is the number one guy for the Chiefs, and Ware is not really getting carries. Neither is Damian Williams. So I think he'll have the volume. I think Lindsay will have the production if he gets back into the mix this week after getting ejected last week. But I do like Lindsay in this one.
I wonder what percent of the fantasy football community is like pure box score analyst and thinks that Phillip Lindsay just had like a bad game, like didn't follow through. Like I'd like to think people aren't that lazy, but I would say there's a minimum 20% of people who are going to be like, Lindsay got outworked by Freeman all week last week. Like Phillip Lindsay was going to workhorse and got ejected really early. And what's more is if you talk to him during the week, if you read his interviews or saw his reactions, he's very upset with himself and very eager to get back on the field because he knows the stock that Royce Freeman has and it is rising, and he wants to solidify his role in the offense. And there's no better way to do that than with a very nice hometown primetime performance against a weak Chiefs defense. Phillip Lindsay. Question three, most receiving yards, and Tyreek Hill is not on this list. It is Emmanuel Sanders, followed by Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins, and Demaryius Thomas. So you like DT here on the D-bet? D for D, Nick?
I don't like Thomas.
That was a setup.
Good job, good effort. I think that the Broncos are going to spread it around a little bit more because the Chiefs secondary is so bad. They're not going to be, force feeding their stars necessarily. So I'm not super high on Sanders and Thomas individually. I think they'll have good games. I don't know that they'll have great games. I do think Travis Kelce is going to have a really good game. This Broncos secondary kind of funnels things to the inside with their elite cornerbacks on the outside. So I like Kelce in this quad here.
I also like Kelce, the number one target for Patrick Mahomes. I'm also not discounting Manny Sanders. I think he's going to have an awesome breakout season, back to the respect that he deserves as a wide receiver in this league. Another Pittsburgh guy. When we talk about good Steelers receivers, he never gets mentioned as like another draft pick they absolutely smashed. But I'm going to take Kelce here and the targets over the middle, working the seam. Broncos secondary, overrated. Question 4, most receptions, and this one's a little bit easier than most. See if you can find out why. Demaryius Thomas, Tyreek Hill, Jake Butt, and Chris Conley. Nick, why is this question easier than the rest?
Well, Jake Butt is out for the season.
Yeah, he's got one knee.
Do not pick Jake Butt. Also, don't pick Chris Conley because the Chiefs don't really throw it to him. I think he had a touchdown last week, but he's not a volume guy, so he's out. So that narrows it down to DT and Tyreek Hill. This one's tough because Tyreek Hill's a boomer bust guy. He's not going to get 8 catches. DT does have the upside for 8 or 9 catches, so I'll probably go Thomas, even though that contradicts what I said earlier about the volume being funneled. I like Thomas in this matchup.
Let me get one thing clear. This was not an easy question, and Butt being out doesn't make it any easier. It just, statistically speaking, increases your odds from 25% to 33%, slightly tilted based on targets. But this is not an easy question by any means, especially when 3 of Demaryius's targets are going to turn into drops every week. Like, what is that about? But I think
he's got the yips.
Dude, unbelievable. But I think that with his size, that he is going to have a matchup advantage in this game, and he's going to get enough targets to get him over Tyreek and Conley, who are situational guys that can get open and make plays, but ultimately aren't commanding the looks that a main receiver should, or enough targets to win this question. Most total touchdowns, the stars are out. It is Kareem Hunt, Royce Freeman, Travis Kelce, and Manny Sanders. First, let me ask, do you think this is going to be a high-scoring game? And then what's your pick for this?
I do think it is going to be fairly high-scoring. The Chiefs have not really shown any signs of slowing down or any signs of slowing down the other team.
Yeah, that's true. It works both ways.
I think this will be high-scoring, and as much as I don't like Kareem Hunt as an actual football player, it doesn't really matter. If you're getting goal line touches, you're going to score touchdowns. So I'm going to take Kareem Hunt in this one. I think running backs are more consistent to score touchdowns anyway, so you're playing the odds there.
I think Kareem Hunt can fall into the end zone twice, and that's enough for him to win this question.
Hey, he didn't do that last week. What are you talking about?
Oh, he did, though.
Oh, wait, he did.
I'm going to copy and paste Week 3 into Monday Night Football. I like the touchdown production of the other 3 candidates. I just think that it has to break out much more situational. A guy like Kareem Hunt can break a long run, is a PPR threat, and is getting short yardage work. And those 3 factors put him over the top of the other 3 candidates for me. Question 6, passing touchdowns, made field goals. You know the drill. We get wacky. It's Patrick Mahomes, Case Keenum, Brandon McManus, or Harrison Butker. And we learned that the Chiefs are just not kicking field goals this year, statistically. That's it.
They've kicked 2 on the whole season. And Butker was money last year. He was kicking field goals left and right. So things have definitely changed from Alex Smith to Mahomes. They're much more aggressive, and they're not really needing to kick field goals because they're scoring touchdowns. So I would say Butker's out on this one. I'm not really high on McManus either. I would probably go with Mahomes on this one. I know that Keenum's going to march down the field on this Chiefs secondary, but I think Mahomes has the better weapons in the red zone.
I think this is the perfect spot for Brandon McManus because a mediocre offense can move the ball against a bad defense, but they're going to have slightly more trouble when the field shrinks, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what I see happening. The Broncos moving into Chiefs territory and then maybe having a little bit of trouble putting themselves in 3rd and long situations. And because you're in Denver and Brandon McManus has a boot, your range is expanded. 55 becomes an option. I do know that you need 7s, not 3s to beat this Chiefs team. But at home with a conservative-ish coach, I think that McManus can get 3, and that could be enough to win this just because of the volatility. Like, Mahomes could throw for 6 and blow this question up. But the way they've been working with the run game in the red zone, I'm a little bit more confident in McManus to get 3 than anyone else to hit 3. What do you think about that?
I like that analysis. I'd say that's good, especially being in Denver and having weather on your side.
It's time for the lightning questions. 2 questions stand between you and $1 million, and we got a couple star receivers to break down. First, we need Emmanuel Sanders' exact receiving total. Had a couple of nice games to start the season, Nick, but what do you have for tonight against a porous, to say the least, Chiefs secondary?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think it's going to be spread around a little bit more between all their different weapons. This might be a game where Cortland Sutton finally breaks out, shows us what he's capable of.
That.
So I have Sanders down a little bit compared to his production the rest of the year, which seems kind of contradictory. But with that ball being spread around a little bit more, I think he'll get a little bit fewer looks. So I have him at about 72 this week.
I respect that. I'm going to go the other way. I think the way Sanders works the middle of the field and the way he moves without the ball, he's going to have a big rack night. I think the offense is starting to realize that the targets should flow to Sanders instead of Thomas. That is starting to become more and more evident. 8 targets last week against the Ravens in a game that went back and forth. Doesn't have the touchdown upside because he works in space, so he's not as effective when the field shrinks. So I'm going to go with 126 for Sanders. Going to have a nice night. I want the Broncos to squat the game, but I see a situation where they chase. And I see a situation where if they need yards, they go to Sanders. So he's going to be my main producer, my biggest yardage gainer for the Broncos on Monday.
That's gutsy. I like it. Stepping out.
Stepping out on 126?
Yeah, stepping out.
He had 135 in the opener.
You had 135 in the opener.
Last question, and it's an easy one. It's just exact receiving yards for Tyreek Hill. So what do you think about this layup here, Nick?
This is worse than trying to predict Deshaun last week.
It's impossible, man.
So I predicted Deshaun for 39. I think he went for 49. So I did okay there. We'll see if I can match that this week with Tyreek Hill because I'm going to do a very similar thing. I'm going to say he either catches bombs or nothing. And then I'm going to pick in the middle. I'm going to say like 80 for Tyreek Hill, which is exactly 3/4 of a catch.
80. One catch, 80 yards, touchdown.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, right after a kickoff, right?
Yeah. And then peace sign as he...
Peace on the sidelines. No, I respect Tyreek Hill's speed. I think the Broncos do too, but he always seems to make huge plays against this team. And in this stadium, I believe. He's had a couple punt return totes in this stadium, I believe. So I'm going to go with 115. I think he's going to have a 4-catch game, going to be involved. But there's going to be, dude, the thing about Tyreek Hill is he gets open. That's not a question. So it's about these fraction of a turn of a screw, just a little bit of action that determines whether he gets 0 yards or 150 and 2 totes. He is such a, I can't find the thing, the edge of the, what is that term? The edge of when someone's right on the edge? Professional. We're all set. That's it. Now to tuck in and enjoy some Chiefs-Broncos. What does the model say for this game, Nick?
The model says that the Chiefs are going to win 32-29.
That's pretty good.
So, that seems reasonable to me.
That's a nice game. That's a high-scoring game.
Yeah, that means your typical Chiefs-Broncos collision, close matchup kind of game.
I do think regardless of the stature of these teams, they always play really tough games, like entertaining games too. Awesome. Well, if you want to win, you got to keep playing contests at Boom Fantasy. Watch these videos. And if you need some extra special advice, you talk to the guys at DailyFantasyInsider. They got the scoops. They got the chat rooms. They do the research, so you don't have to. And win some money. What's wrong with money, right?
Getting that money.
Getting that paper. We'll see you Thursday Night Football. Do you know who's playing that yet, Nick?
I don't.
Me neither. See you week 5.
We'll see you there, guys.